I will give you an example.
Yeah.
I was reading this book on Daniel Goleman. It's called Emotional Intelligence, and he explains that how just having conscious mind and having control on just your conscious behavior can change the entire perspective of your decision making and could elevate a very different experience from what you would otherwise experience.
That's right.
I mean, do you feel that just having control on your emotional intelligence is very different?
How do you control your emotions?
Yeah.
If you see there is a chart, there's an omega chart, an emotional frequency chart, which talks about love, compassion, enlightenment on the top, which is 100.
Okay.
Can you just guess what is that zero frequency emotion? What do you think? Out of all the negative emotions,
Maybe
there are
sadness?
positive.
Maybe sadness.
No, that's somewhere in the middle. Shame and guilt.
Shame and
Guilt. That's got the worst frequency. That's the rock bottom. If somebody is suffering from guilt and shame is the worst of all. There's toxic shame, where there are two shames. One kind of shame, like you feel bad about this thing, but I did something to you, and you can easily clear that by saying going to that person and saying, listen, I did this. I know you must have hurt. So can I please correct it? Can we work on this together? You cleared that negative emotion out of your system. But there's toxicity involved in that shame. Then you start shrinking. You're hiding. You're running away from that person. And then you become defensive about your actions. Then the whole game, the toxic game starts.
Wow.
So in that, you can lose yourself. And and then you go to different other emotions, and then you go to the highest, which is enlightenment, joy, and bliss, ecstasy. How do you come to those? There are many practices which can help you. That is, first one I would say is breath work.
Wow.
Breathing.
And then once a person comes to you as a life coach, you diagnose, you understand.
First I diagnose and tell you. In relationship, people having breakups, I'm not understanding, and they are, you can see that.
It could happen.
Yeah, there is.
Maybe the first phase of your relationship would be great, and the second phase maybe could be disturbing.
Absolutely.
And then how do you realign those?
Realign those. How do you consciously couple people back together when they're drifting apart? Because people can also be lonely. If they're together, they can still be lonely.
Yeah.
They can still be not understood by each partners, right? So, for example, most of the clients who comes to me is either who are there in the top CEO, the chairman, and
the C-level guys.
And they are kind of quite lonely at the top because they don't have peers to talk to.
But again,
they cannot be vulnerable. They cannot share their true, authentic experiences. Or this is what I feel about this thing.
But
because they have a fear
to this, Smitha, what I told you that the word lonely is very subjective.
Absolutely.
Because in my opinion, for someone, the word lonely as a connotation could be basically a very miserable situation. But maybe someone who meditates, a guru like you, could be like a blessing, loneliness.
Sure.
So maybe someone at a C level says that loneliness is amazing because I don't want distractions, because I have a lot to focus in life, and I think the purpose of my focus gives a lot of directions to a lot of people who depend on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe for that reason, I need to be lonely.
Okay, let me come to that point. Very, very interesting point, Peter, that you've touched upon, which is they're everywhere. So when I'm just talking about who do we deal with? So people who are lonely at the top, and I will come to that point. And also,
you're saying lonely and miserable.
Lonely and miserable,
okay.
And we go a little deeper. The second kind of people, what we are addressing is the youth, the new generation youth who are constantly stimulated in their mind, and they have no pause, and they get into anxiety, depression, all kinds of issues, suicidal tendencies, all of these, which we have seen through during
because they're
COVID
experiencing
time.
the world more on virtually
And differently, and that's another way of loneliness. They're secluded on their iPad, on the phones.
Yeah.
They're not connecting to the people a lot more. So that's the youth getting into a lot of anxiety. 90%, I would say, is the youth there's no direction. Then it's the relationships. People are going through difficult, challenging relationships now. Very rarely you find relationships which are so meaningful, and the COVID has taught us a lot. The people who are close to me, that really, it's not about the Facebook friends or the millions of followers or what I have.
Yeah.
The true meaning of the people who are there for you, who would just know if you're not there. Nowadays, people don't even realize if somebody has not messaged you for 1 month, you don't even know that it's there. Someone has passed away, it's like you don't realize.
In fact, you archive people only for good morning messages, guys.
Absolutely.
They are not there.
They're not there.
I have people on my WhatsApp group, technically 1 year they only send good morning and have Eid Mubarak.
Yes. So we don't even know people are there or not there because we are caught up in this virtual world. So understanding the value of meaningful relationship, the true bond of marriage, true bond of being partners as well, true bonds of parenthood and the relationship within child, where are we nurturing those? These are very, very important things. In this day and age, we need to give more value to. From there, we can foster better life. Your relationship with people are better, your life is better. Because you're able to, for example, if a husband is going to work with a chaotic mind and an argument, is he going to be good with his employees? No. He's going to operate from the morning journey.
I'm just, whatever you said, I'm just recollecting with my parents. Like, I mean, it's, if you see our parents, they partnered their family life and continued for 30, 40 years together. And today it's so difficult to partner in maybe 20 years.
Absolutely.
And in a 15, 20 years of a relationship, you start falling apart.
Absolutely, because people are wanting dopamine hits,
yeah.
right? They want that instant pleasure, right? That's what the social media gives them, right? There is after about a year or so, the honeymoon period is over.
Yeah.
That pleasure, the dopamine hit starts to fade down. That's when, if a couple is in love with each other, they need to start building that intimacy, that spiciness in their relationship, which people forget.